Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be playing the best tanks in the game live. Now, how am I going to judge what the best tanks in the game are? Well, in my opinion, it's all down to win ratio, but just so I aren't playing the low tiers, let's filter them out and try and play the high tier vehicles, and also only play regular tanks because obviously the premium ones like the Object 279E and friends are going to be on top. So, the Tortoise! Can you actually believe it? A British tank on top of being arguably the best tank in the game. So much so it's at 52.75% win rate. It's almost as if a vehicle like this, when Wargaming buffed its armor tremendously, so it doesn't even really have that many weak points on front of the tank, can be an absolute brute. It has the second highest DPM in the game, just a hair's breadth away from having the same damage per minute as its bigger brother, the Badger, and now with the field modifications and all of the equipment with 2.0 that you can put on this tank, you can get real scary. Now, full disclosure, I don't quite have the 7th field mod on this vehicle, which will improve the tank's reload time at the expense of hit points and protection to the crew from injuries, so I would reckon maybe just put a premium med kit on, take that, and bump that damage per minute up to a seriously scary level. Currently, I have 4,645 DPM on this tank, as if that's not enough, right? On my Badger, which I've actually been playing quite a lot recently to try and get the 3rd mark of excellence on the Badger, I managed to get the DPM to 4,800. That is the equivalent of a mouse and a half a minute, even when it's boosting all of its hit points. It's truly terrifying stuff. So the Tortoise is one of these tanks that is just so darn resilient. It's an absolute behemoth of World of Tanks with 2,000 hit points and enough armor that even gold rounds sometimes can't manage to go through the front of it from equal and even higher tier tanks. The only true weakness of this vehicle is obviously the side, if they manage to get the side, or the rear, or alternatively the weak point, this kind of machine gun, this anti-aircraft gun, whatever it is on top, the mini cannons that are on top of the vehicle. Okay, so we've managed to get ourselves onto a matchup on Westfield against tier 10 tanks. Now I'm looking at the enemy's team list to see if there's anything truly scary. A Mil-2 terrifying, possibly even the VZ-55 pretty scary, E-100, those kind of tanks. This is a vehicle that does very well when it manages to isolate a tank and just render it useless with its raw DPM. There's not a tank in the game that I wouldn't trade with when I'm playing the Tortoise. The issue with the Tortoise is when you can't manage to get the vehicle into those situations where you are 1 versus 1. It does exceedingly poorly when it's having to fight multiple tanks because to all intents and purposes, somebody's going to be able to get your side, somebody's going to be able to punish that part of your vehicle or even just outflank you and render you useless. There's no point of having the highest damage per minute in the game if you aren't able to use it. So I'm a little bit concerned about trying to work this ridgeline up here. Part of me thought about going into the town, and maybe the town is usually the kind of place which I would want to go to in the Tortoise, because in the town I can manage to use the buildings for cover, and importantly as well, I can hopefully manage to lock a tank down. But nevertheless, in this kind of a situation, with the M48 just driving across, I'm going to have to try and go for some shots, or am I not going to have to go for some shots? No, I can't do that. There's a Char Future 4 below me, and there's an Emil doing that. Okay, so I've got to change my plan. So if I go over here, I'm vulnerable to the Emil-2 in the side, but he seems to be so preoccupied shooting the pattern that perhaps I can actually manage to make that work. And with that T110E4 clearly trying to shove through this flank, I think this could actually be great. I'm going to preload some gold rounds here for the T110E4. The T110E4 is now going to reload. I've got to be very careful that the Emil-2 doesn't turn around and start clapping me. But I kind of want the T110E4 to commit to a position because there's no point once again in the Tortoise in using your alpha damage to surprise your opponents. If you're not going to fire multiple times, what's the point? So I'm kind of hoping that the T110E4 will try and push round without knowing that I'm here exactly. And here we go. This is our opportunity. Please hit the tracks. Oh, it missed. Oh, World of Tanks. Oh, come on, one of the most accurate tanks in the game, not managing to get the claps in. Oh, how are you driving around a corner? Why'd you have to expose yourself? How much of your tank... Oh, come on, Mr. Tortoise is betraying me. Oh, Mr. Tortoise is doubly betraying me. Oh, all because this guy decides that he has to give, like, all of his vehicle to the team. Like, imagine if you just used your gun depression and we didn't have to drive the whole way around a corner to be able to get a shot in. Yeah, I do get a bit feisty when I'm playing in the Tortoise. When I'm playing the Tortoise, you know, when you've got such insane damage potential, it feels as if it's a travesty to not use it, you know? Interesting situation against the VZ-55 there. Tried to go for his weak point on top of the tank. Okay, so definitely not the best trade deals in World of Tanks history. I'll tell you what, if they didn't have such extreme penetration, those shells could have very easily have bounced. They just shot randomly at that part of the vehicle. A little bit of a stinker. Okay. So, what can we do? What can we do? E100 isn't aiming at me. Maybe we can try and go for his turret. That could possibly be the dream. When am I going to get to actually use this thing's DPM? Possibly now? Oh dear, Mr. Tortoise. It's not the worst result in the world, but it's definitely not what we wanted. I didn't get an opportunity to truly let loose, and that is what this tank wants to do. This tank wants to let loose. It wants to go after its opponents. It wants to grind them down. It wants to fire multiple shots. What's the point in having the highest DPM or the second highest DPM in World of Tanks if you aren't even going to be able to use the second highest DPM in World of Tanks? Oh, Tortoise, you are letting me down today. Usually you are my boy, and today you are my nemesis. It doesn't seem to want to hit any of my chancy shots. The aim time on this vehicle and accuracy is fairly impeccable. I guess I should have been thinking about advancing forwards a little bit. Maybe I'm out of practice in my truly slow lumbering tanks. But to be honest as well, I'm not sure if any of you have been playing World of Tanks recently, but I can tell you it's probably one of the worst metas that I've ever played right now, slash kind of people playing World of Tanks. It's horrendous. This mission marathon always brings out the worst. Everybody's trying to farm damage. Everybody's trying to play far too seriously. There's no room for fun. There's no casuals. There's no casuals where the Tortoise usually would feast on. All right, let's try and reload a high explosive round and see if we can be able to get the M53-55. Oh, why didn't I already aim at him there? Maybe? Hey, alright. Not bad. Not bad at all. How do the enemy have 6,000 hit points? That's actually quite concerning. We've got 5 tanks more than them, but in theory, we have less hit points. Or the same hit points as them. All of our hit points seems to be on this IS-4 and this Rinoceronte. I guess everybody else is pretty low, right? Okay, so what do I do in this situation? Well, right now, I've just got to hope that the 277 spots. Maybe he'll catch the Progetto out. And this is where this vehicle, with just a little bit of luck on a couple of tracking shots, will really start to render your opponents completely demolished. But unfortunately, we have to hit those tracking shots. And in this game, at least, we haven't hit any tracking shots, I feel. Come on, then. I'm fishing for the Progetto. Shall I blind fire? Shall I not blind fire? I don't really want to blind fire right now and lower my camo rating to a point where I might get spotted. If that happens, then all it takes is a little bit of bad RNG from either of those top tier mediums and the tier 9 propping it up. Oh, here we go. Oh, why did he suddenly start to reverse when he was going forwards? My bad, I guess. Mr. Progetto, one tracking shot, please. No, Mr. Tortoise, why are you doing this to me? Oh, he's absolutely... I've been betrayed. This usually is my boy. This is my boy, YouTube. My boy's betrayed me. I've absolutely betrayal of the Tortoise. And now I've just got to sit here and wait for the game to end. Oh, well... 2,000 damage, really low for this vehicle. Unless I'm doing 3,000 damage in this tank, I do feel like I've been really let down. But, I guess it just can't be always the Tortoise's day, right? It can't always be the Tortoise's day. When I think about it, a fairly mediocre map for this tank. And when you lose 1,500 hit points to the Heat and the T110E4, what are you going to do? Anyway, that was the Tortoise. Rather mediocre game there for the best tank. This is what always seems to happen, right? When I play the most powerful tanks, I have mediocre games. And when I play the worst ones, I have the best games, as we saw last time, right? Okay, let's play another one of the best tanks, tier for tier. And apparently it is the Manticore, which is packing a 51.94% win ratio. So a third class there for the Tortoise. I finished mid-table on both ends of the spectrum of damage and experience. Disappointing. Anyway, let's see if another British tank is going to give me a flavour of victory. So, the Manticore. Now, I have a fetching skin on this from the Halloween game mode. what is good about this tank? Well, firstly, I'll explain that when we jump into the battle. Let me tell you how I'm going to set this tank up. I'm going to set this tank up in 2 ways. One is I'm going to pump up the camo of this tank. And because it's very low profile, that actually means that I'm going to end up getting 52% concealment before I've even got some of the other field mods that could pump that up even higher. That's absolutely outrageous to have a tier 10 light tank that can get 52% concealment on the move. I'm also still going to have coated optics and vents with that setup, and the reason why I'm going to do that is because that is for the maps where there aren't many bushes, where I want to kind of be a little bit cheeky and try and make flanking plays. The other setup that I'm going to have on this tank is dropping out the low noise exhaust system. So I'm going to lower my concealment now to, 45%, but I'm going to drop in a commander's vision system, which will allow me to work maps where there are bushes. Now, a lot of people on this tank might want to drop out the coated optics and use the low noise exhaust system irrelevant, or maybe even decide to drop out the vents. But for me personally, the vents are just so awesome because they make everything about your tank better. And I like to be the holistic player in the situations that I get myself into. I wanted to also mention about this tank that I talked about the EBR on the YouTube channel. I think it was about a month ago, where I was talking about how the rate of fire doesn't really matter on a vehicle like this, and it doesn't really matter on the EBR. And I think it's 2 tanks that I would never take a gun rammer on unless I was playing maybe on certain maps. But I feel like scouts are meant to be scouts, and when you're playing a Manticore, which can be such a proficient scout, I feel like you should do it. Okay, so I'm going to take the commander's vision system on this map. I think the commander's vision system with all of these bushes will kind of help out with me literally just totally dominating there. It's a close one though. This is one of the maps where you might want to use the camo module. Alright, so without further ado, let's talk about why the Manticore is probably ending up with such a high win ratio. Because the Manticore will get matched up against vehicles like the Sheridan, the WZ-132, will get matched up against the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. And it is just so much better than those tanks when it comes down to remaining hidden because of its concealment value. And frankly, what World of Tanks has almost become is for scouts, it's not enough to just have 500 meters view range. You need to have 500 meters view range with a commander's vision system while also still sporting at least 45% camo. And as you can see, these medium tanks just simply can't go up into these bushes with my exceptional view range and my commander's vision system because they're going to get lit up. So in this scenario, I just want to kind of chill for a little bit, wait until I see where my team are, and then now that I see where my team are, I'm going to push. I'm going to take a risk. I know it's a little bit risky, but I feel like because I've got so many tanks on my team, that it's not that risky with having the line of fire behind me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to situate myself along these bush lines, make sure that I'm trying to proxy spot everybody on this ridge. I know that Manticore wants to try and hound me, to try and stop me, but that's okay. I know he wants to try and sneak up in these bushes, but I'm going to make sure I try and proxy spot him as well. There's the Manticore. So I'm just going to keep him away, keep him honest, try and scare my opponents away from trying to make an all-in play on this ridge. And then what this will do is it will give the confidence to my medium tanks to be able to push forwards. Because now they don't have to worry about people shooting them in the bushes, and they also don't have to worry about the Manticore getting extreme vision. And you see that their medium tanks are already starting to fall back. We're getting some spotting on the Leopard though. The FV's telling me to fall back, but I kind of don't want to in this situation. I'm going to go for a shot on the STRV, and you can see we're spotting that STRV back there and also harassing them. And I didn't get spotted. Oh my lord. Okay, so in this kind of situation, I feel like I have to try and get some more vision for my team down this eastern flank, hopefully without rolling my tank or even getting spotted. There's an FV4005, but the FV405 has been spotted over down the west, so I don't really need to worry about that. And this is where the Manticore is just so crazy. Other light tanks just can't compete. Well, as I track myself, apparently. Other light tanks just can't compete with this vehicle's ability to be low profile, this vehicle's ability to be able to go and sit in a bush, or sometimes not being spotted, by spotting out a light tank, sorry, not a light tank, a self-propelled gun at the back. And oh, there's the Leopard, actually. That was a bit of a misplay by me. Hopefully we're still going to get a shot in. Am I in a bit of trouble here? I actually am. I actually am in quite a lot of trouble. I seem to have got myself too forwards, but I'm getting that Progetto killed. No, help me. No, help me, dude. Okay, I'm in a lot of trouble here, actually. I'm going to try and leg it. Oh, God, that TVP might get me. Oh, TVP got me once. Please don't get me twice. Oh, scary, scary, scary. But tiny little Manticore, keep me alive. All right, let's try and double back on this house for a second. Get a bit of respite, maybe, from the enemy team. This tiny vehicle. Maybe I can manage to make a kill on this 277. Did he not spot me? Either that or I'm spotted the whole time. I don't even know. Okay, so I got 2,000 spotting there. I have no idea why all of my mediums just decided to sit on the mid-ridge, but I guess it's a bad play by me by not recognizing it, right? I should have recognized that my team were chilling. Okay, so I'm going to use this bush to be able to avoid vision from the Manticore from the side. I've got to be careful, though, because if he goes too far forwards, he'll spot me, and that TVP could find me from behind as well. This is where I kind of want to have that 55% camo instead of the 44% camo or the 45% camo that I have. I'm going to try and make a sneaky play back, but I could die doing this. Oh, okay, I'm okay. I really think that my team, when they were telling me to fall back here, were completely wrong. I feel that they should have pushed forwards. I feel like they should have taken the fight to the enemy team. I think that we had this game, and I think that they played badly. I think that we could have easily taken it to the enemy team and been able to win the game from that position. This TVP is actually managing to be a little bit cheeky here. One of the coolest things about the Manticore as well in this situation is its great turret. 8 degrees of gun depression and enough sneakiness to be able to put some pressure up on this TVP. And this is where this vehicle just starts to really work out. I don't think I'm spotted right now. An assassin. And that's where you just really don't need the gun rammer with a vehicle like this, because you can control the engagement, you can go up, you can sit down below the ridgeline until you reload, and I feel like it'd be far better to invest in other areas of the tank. I'm going to shoot this guy's tracks because I think he's about to get hopefully auto-loaded on by the Progetto. The Progetto doesn't seem to want to fire. Maybe he's reloading, or maybe he's waiting to try and retrack him. I'll take 1,600 tracking there against an AFK target. Nobody saw that, right? Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that it was an AFK tank, right? No, no, no. It wasn't an AFK tank. Not at all. Not at all. Am I going to try and launch myself onto an Object 268 version 4 here? I think I have to. Tiniest little British missile. Yeah! Okay, mine. So that ended up with us actually getting near enough 6,000 combined in this game. And 3 kills. And that's why the Manticore is just so good. It's got the alpha damage to be able to make good trades. Sure, it doesn't have the rate of fire, it doesn't have the ammunition, it doesn't have the gun elevation, but it's so sneaky that you can just be able to deliver those shots and be a little bit of an assassin. I think that my team could have played way better, at least in my opinion. I think they should have pushed through. I think they were too passive, and I think that we could have easily delivered the kill shots to the enemy team earlier on in that battle. Nevertheless, we finished number 1 on experience for, our near 6,000 combined. That's a decent round for the Manticore. I am not going to say no to that one. Alright, so that was the Manticore. Let's take a look to see what's next on the list. Well, there's the T95 and then there's the SU-101, or 100M1 I should say, 87 and 268 version 4. But we've already played a tank destroyer today. Let's take a look to see what the best heavy is. And oh my word, it is French, 2 British vehicles, and a French tank. It's the AMX M451. This tank is great because it comes with the best gun as the standard on this vehicle. So if I show you the, as I click wrongly, as I show you on the research here, the 127mm on this vehicle costs 63,000 to research. You'd have to be an absolute muppet to research that gun. Well, why have you then, QuickyBabs? Well, because I guess I've played this vehicle enough after already researching the AMX M454 to be able to move on. This tank comes with this 120mm stock gun, which is just so much better than the 127. I guess the 127 is better in just a couple of ways. One, a little bit more alpha, but more importantly, you can actually overmatch with the 127 compared to the 120 on this tank. Nevertheless, the 120 I would still use on this vehicle if I'm a free-to-play player, if I'm a pay-to-win player, any player. And once you've got the turret and you've got the engines on this tank, it's an absolute performer. Now, I'm not going to be using vertical stabilizers on this tank. It actually has really bad dispersion, but only when moving. And so what I've decided to do on this vehicle is to take Smooth Ride, which enhances my vehicle's on the move dispersion, And I'm also going to be using a directive gearbox intricacy, which costs me 10 or 9,000 credits per game if you buy them in bulk, but that will actually double the effect of smooth ride, and that will allow me to use a turbo on this tank or coated optics instead of using vertical stabilizers. But still, if you find that you absolutely hate the gun handling on this tank, and that's a bit too of an expensive way to play, spending 9,000 credits a game, it's half the price of a premium consumable, unless you're buying them at half price, I guess, then definitely go for the vert stabs anyway. Okay, Ghost Town Assault. Am I attacking? I am. Ooh, this is going to be an exciting map. So there's so many ways that I could play this, but it's definitely going to be a challenge to see if we can actually win an assault, because attacking is harder than defending, right? Or at least it feels like that a lot with the way that a lot of people play World of Tanks. So I could try and make my way up onto the hill and try and shove down, but the side profile on this vehicle is pretty awful. I think I'd be an idiot to not go into the town. But how am I going to play the town? I'm going to try and play the town in a 2 attack approach. I'm going to start in this position, and then eventually I might try and make a push play and try and do something funky. Or do you think I should try and do something funky right from the get-go? Sometimes when I try and do funky things right from the get-go, I end up regretting it. Or sometimes when I do funky things right from the get-go, we seem to have some pretty awesome games. So look at that turbo just absolutely chugging away. We're going at 49 down slope there. Hopefully that's going to help this relatively slow lumbering tank to be able to get into position. I'd like to clarify, I don't think I have the field mods on this vehicle, so I'm currently sitting without the boost to the ground resistances, so the mobility of this vehicle will get even better. Yeah, that dispersion is pretty bad when I'm moving, but at least the smooth ride and the gearbox intricacy has improved it by, I guess, 15%, so it's almost as if I'm using a vertical stabilizer on this tank through investing in that area. Okay, so let's talk about the armor on this vehicle. It's decent, to say the least. It's decent, but those are very scary tanks, and they will probably mess me up very much if I do that. Okay, I'm already going to go to stage 2. I've decided that stage 1 is already over, so we're going to be moving immediately to stage 2. Stage 2 is where I rush like an absolute raving loon, and apparently don't have the traverse speed to use my tank, shoot that a mil on the move, and then get into this dip. Alright, from this dip, I can now isolate both sides. Oh, hello. You shouldn't have been able to do that, but you did. Cheeky patriot. Okay, so from here, now look at this. Now I can side scrape up there. I can double on round if I want to, and as long as I don't manage to get shot in the side, we should be good. So I've taken this power position in the middle, and what this will allow me to do is be able to get cross shots. This is a very tall tank, so I've also got to be careful. Do you notice how now I've literally got 6 tanks on the enemy team looking at me, expecting me to do something stupid? And you know what? That's actually very powerful in World of Tanks. If you can distract a huge amount of the enemy team, then quite often that can allow you to gain access to other areas of the map for your team. Also, you know what? I can bite too. You think I can't fight from this dip? I can fight from this dip. You want to go again, Tiger 2? Oh, yeah, I can bite. I'm a scary tank in this dip. You think I'm not one of the best, or if not the best, heavy tank tier for tier in the game for a reason? I'm a scary boy. I'm gonna load some gold for this E75. Is this T-34-2 really gonna come and try and fight me here? He is, isn't he? Oh, this is pretty stupid. Okay. Okay. I mean, if I was a T-34-2, I would really not fight in this dip. As long as he doesn't set me on fire, I'm a very happy camper. Okay. Very good. I don't even have to go to my opponents. They can just come to me now, apparently. That's always nice, isn't it? Oh, man, this is such a good position for this tank. It's so tall. Such a tall tank. And usually being tall in World of Tanks is actually a disadvantage. But here it is clearly a huge advantage. I might actually be able to make a sneaky shot now on that Tiger 2 without getting hit. Hello. Oh, now I've cut the map right open. So now hopefully I can manage to just get some cheeky shots. Where shall I go? E75 over there, Yak Tiger over there. CS53 here. Get a shot into him. Maybe make a pressure play on the Yak Tiger from the side. Help this Tiger 2 be able to push through. Now I'm going to end up hull down against these tanks, and they are not going to be too happy about this. A phase 1 claps me in the back. Well played, but I can use this position to still get a little bit of cover. And we've made the flanking play against the 7032 that was in such a strong position. Alright, that E75 is trying to cut round on me, so I'm going to reload a HE round. As I was loading the gold there. And see if I could be able to get a shot into him. Oh no! My team ended up being too good. And this pretty much went perfectly for this tank. I would have liked a little bit more, I'm not going to lie. I think the battle ended a little bit too quickly. I still had a lot of hit points that I could have shared. Managed to claw some extra damage in, but that is not bad. Not bad at all. I'll take it. 3,800 damage. And also close quarters combat fight with a T-34-2. Yeah, I have to admit, this ended up going pretty well in the end. After the boredom that was the Tortoise, to play the Manticore and to make a dive kill against whatever it was, a 268 version 4 or a 277. Hey! And then to have this game as well, where we very solidly rocked and rolled in the French heavy tank. Yeah. And even went into the dip and had a T-34-2 come and try and fight me in Mortal Kombat. Why you would ever go all in against a vehicle like this, which is definitely one of, if not the most powerful heavy tanks tier for tier in the game, is beyond me. So why is this tank so good? Well, its win ratio will definitely be inflated by the fact that it comes with its best gun as standard. But it's not just that, it's also because the vehicle's fast, it's got really good frontal armor, and it's got the good gun to boot. It's just an all-purpose frontal grindy heavy tank. It's a bit like a T110E5 at tier 9. It's just you lose a little bit of the DPM. And I guess why this vehicle is also so special is because a lot of people just stop going up the tech tree. You have an incredibly powerful tank in the form of the AMX M451 at tier 9, and then you have the floundering whatever tank, the AMX M454 at tier 10, which is a complete disappointment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you end up going up the French heavy tank tech tree and you find the AMX M451 to be enjoyable, don't sell it. And if you don't find it to be enjoyable, just sell it anyway, because it's not going to be getting any better once you go up to tier 10. And so, ladies and gents, boys and girls, without further ado, let's play a medium tank. So what's the next one on the list? Okay, the CS63. That's actually got one of the best win ratios, if not the best win ratio of any tier 10 medium tank. The CS63 also happens to be, in my opinion, one of the most fun tanks that you can play. This thing is fast, it's aggressive, it's voracious. I'm going to be setting the vehicle up in two ways. One with a turbo, rammer, and vents, which is my damage per minute setup for the vehicle. One with a turbo commander's vision system, and also vents, which is going to help me on those maps where I want to end up being a bit of a bush scale. So the CS63, it's a tank that has a turbo, and I've got a turbo that's equipped on the tank as well. It's taking a vehicle that's already fast and making it incredibly fast. And for a lot of people, you might be thinking, is this really the kind of tank that you would take a turbo on? I don't know, man. I think it doesn't have very good gun handling, especially when you're outside, when you're inside the turbo mode. And so a lot of people will like to use vertical stabilizers. Also, it doesn't have the best view range. And so unless you're willing to use a premium consumable and you have really good crew and really good equipment, you might want to take coated optics on it as well. However, this works for me. The reason why I like the turbo is because it allows me to still have fairly good mobility outside of the turbo mode. One of the big issues with this tank is its reverse speed, and the turbo really does help with that outside of being in what I'm going to be calling the travel mode. Alrighty then, so without further ado, we got ourselves into a nice matchup here, and look at this. You think you're fast, Borask? Ha! Ha! You think you're fast, Kampfpanzer? How about going up slope at 72 kilometers an hour and then racing down at 80 there? This thing just really doesn't give a monkeys when it comes to going up slopes and just absolutely jamming its way through towards the enemy team. However, it does have a significant issue, and that is that look at its pineapple reticle in the middle of your screen. Yes, do not adjust your TVs, your sets, your mobile screens, whatever. It is just that darn horrific. But you'll see that when we leave, that it's actually pretty good. It's okay. It's not too bad. So recently I've decided that going and using this position is better than sitting there, because it will allow you to get crossfires and more importantly, if you sit there, you can quite often get shot from there. Whereas if you go and sit up here, I've found it to be fairly successful at being able to just get those kind of cross shots in. Oh, missed a pattern. That's not even really a pattern at that point. Have any of you seen those stock patterns? Oh, it's basically like playing a Pershing at tier 9. I would feel bad, but I need damage as well, right? Hello, T54 Mod 1. How you doing? You having a good game? That's great. How about this? Oh. So one of the great things about this vehicle is it's as fast as a Leopard. It has DPM that's very good. But what a lot of people don't realize is it actually even has turret armor. The only thing that's truly going to mess this thing up is heat. Heat rounds will devastate the vehicle, but as long as you're using your gun depression, the turret armor on the vehicle is actually rather good. And that's just what's so powerful. Imagine having a sniping medium tank that is as fast as a Leopard, that can also just sit, hold down, and brush aside certain tanks. Alright, so I think it is time... Ooh, I was going to say to race, but there's an opportunity on a pattern. This won't hit. Ooh, gosh, that was awful. Okay, so now it is time to try and be the Polish Hussar. We're going to try and race forwards quicker than the enemy team can react. And we're going to try and get across this map in record speed. And this is where the CS63 can just make moves that other tanks can only dream of. Look at this, racing forwards. I've got enough speed to hopefully make sure that I've covered this corner. Last thing that you want to do is to leave a tank behind that little position, let me tell you. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut across the map again from the north. And this is where this tank just turns maps into playgrounds for itself, right? Which can be very demoralizing for the enemy team. It seems to me a little bit silly that we can just literally go and check all of the corners and then still be able to just absolutely blitz our way. Don't get spotted in that situation. Don't want to get found out by the E75 here, but now I'm here that I'm going to be able to just hopefully go clap. I'm going to load some gold here because why not, right? Only credits, can't take him with us, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more funky damage. Talk about funky damage. That wasn't funky damage. What's this 50B doing? I got to be a bit careful here. You can see the E75's trying to go for me. He realizes I'm up in these bushes, but I've still got to try and go for the Moistion and friends. Bless my shell, please. What should I go for? Tracks? I'm going to track the player, and then I'm going to try and get a cross shot from over here. I should be able to go through him now. Oh, he keeps turning. He keeps using his armor really well, actually. This is a bit of a stinker. Maybe I can get the Moistion instead. His turret is pretty stupid. Well, so much for a sniping medium tank, right? So, full disclosure, while this vehicle kind of competes with the... While it undoubtedly competes with the Leopard, I was going to say, don't expect it to hit all of its shots. The tank there, on the other hand, basically told me, hey, don't be so silly. Okay, I'm going to do something really stupid now. I'm going to reload AP because I want to be economical. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and try and ram a Progetto. Don't do this. Don't be stupid. Oh, who put you in the way? I can't ram if you do that. Oh, son of a gun. Oh, I wanted to ram him. What's going to take more damage? Me from the Moistion? I think he's reloading. Oh. This is awkward. You don't want to be reloading right now. Wait, Char Future 4 will finish him off. So this thing's actually pretty good for ramming. QB, you're ramming in every vehicle, I know, but maybe I can show you against the Leopard. You wouldn't ram a mouse. I'm not going to ram a Moistion. That's just too silly. This game's actually still pretty close. I could legitimately ram the back of... Oh, God. 777. That Leopard prototype had 1,000 hit points, and he doesn't have 1,000 hit points anymore. Oh my word! You all pretty much getting kind of like a best moments kind of video here. There was something stupid that happened in every single vehicle that we played. Uh-oh. I was like, don't do it, Quacky Babs. Oh, get out of my way, Cranvang. Oh, no, that wasn't good. What else can I ram? What else can I ram? I can't believe it. I'd actually like to clarify, I do have controlled impact on this tank. So if you're expecting that you'll be able to ram things as hard as I just did there, don't expect that you're going to be able to ram things as hard as I just did there. That's definitely the controlled impact on the tank. And we snuck it in as well. 3 kills, 4,800 damage. Definitely why this is one of, if not the most fun medium tanks in the game. I went on a bit of a spree in this vehicle the other day. I've been having so little fun doing the mission marathon on my free-to-play account that I did my Tech Tree Showcase on Sunday, and then afterwards I just kept playing on my main account anyway, instead of going back to my free-to-play account. Played a load of games in the CS63, and yeah, they went well, to say the least. Classic tank. Almost as if vehicles shouldn't really be able to go 75 in World of Tanks. That was pretty ruthless against the Leopard prototype. 1,004 damage with the old shunt and shot there. And that meaty victory with a nice little bit of an experience boost actually gets me closer towards having another field mod, where I will clearly pick the scouting slot on this vehicle, and I will be putting the commander's vision system in that for maps that do have bushes. I can imagine some of the stupid builds that you could have in this vehicle using the survivability slot, maybe putting a spall liner in that and doing some ridiculous ramps with the CS63. But maybe I'll try and actually do well in this tank before I start to do silly things like that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was arguably the best tank destroyer, light tank, heavy tank, and medium tank tier for tier in the game. I really hope you all enjoyed the live gameplay today, and if you want to see more videos like this where I'm playing live and not cherry picking the games, then make sure you let me know in the comments and give this video a like. And if you hated it, however, then give this video a thumbs down. And so that's it for today. Let me know in the comments if you're surprised about any of the tanks that are making it towards the top of this list with regards to win ratio. And let me know what kind of tanks you would like to see me playing next. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.